Mets have signed Bo Bichette, and this could impact the Seattle Mariners. I'm going to explain why on this episode of Mariners Daily. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Edwards, the host. I greatly appreciate you watching, listening, whatever we're doing here. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you appreciate daily Mariners content. Spend the morning with me. Hi. Welcome to the show. Let's get into the first story here. The Mets have signed Bo Bichette. 3 years, $126 million. There's an opt out after the first year and after the second year. Players are continually going for these short-term year deals, these very short, high money deals, which is interesting to me. Bo Bichette is 27 years old, so I get it to a certain extent. After the first year, second year, he's trying to maximize how much money he can make and then maybe sign a long-term deal if he wasn't getting what he wanted. The Phillies did offer a 7-year, $200 million deal, which is what he was apparently asking for. He literally asked for, he was like, yo, can I get that 7-year, $200 million deal? And the Phillies were like, say less, let's do it. And then he was like, never mind, I'm going to the Mets. The Mets must have upped their deal or something. Yeah, apparently. He's a consistent player, Bo. So consistent when he's on the field. 628 plate appearances this past season. Only 18 home runs, 4 stolen bases, but high contact. He hit over 300, which is rare, honestly, for players these days. Hit 311 with a 357 on base and a 483 slugging percentage. A 134 runs created plus, which basically means he is 34% better than the average hitter in the majors this past season. 3.8 F4 on the season is also pretty consistent with his career. This is pretty freaking expensive for this guy, especially because he's played shortstop his entire life. So you're like, oh yeah, shortstop, he should get paid. He's been a bad defensive shortstop. Shout out to JP. He's been a bad defensive shortstop. So where are the Mets putting him? They're putting him at third base. His arm hasn't been great, so I don't know why they're thinking third base. I was thinking second base. That made the most sense. But the Mets just traded for a second baseman in Marcus Semien. He's going to be the second baseman. He's amazing defensively. They've got Frankie Lindor at shortstop, amazing defensively. Then they signed Jorge Polanco, second baseman, famously, but also probably should be a DH, but he's going to be a first baseman for the New York Mets. And now they go and sign Bo Bichette to a 3-year deal to play third base. It's a weird team, and I think Stevie Cohen's just kind of figuring things out. It's a little weird. They've got what's his name? Stearns. I don't remember what his first name is. The former president of baseball ops for the Milwaukee Brewers. I can't remember what his name is. It's something. It's his Stearns. I don't know. He's the president of baseball ops for the Mets now. I think he's a smart baseball mind, but I don't know what he's doing with this infield. It's a little weird, little hodgepodge. Basically, they missed out on Kyle Tucker, and we're like, all right, we're spending money, baby. Go get Bo Bichette. Give him the short term high money deal that he wants, and we'll keep rolling here. And the Mets are still rolling. Now, how does this impact the Mariners? That's the question here. How does it impact the Mariners? Well, let's get into the freaking player profile. Yeah, Baty. Freaking Brett Baty on freaking New York Mets right now has no position. He was set to be their third baseman. They also have Mark Vientos, who I think I'll cover tomorrow. But I want to cover Baty first because he's probably a more interesting player, honestly. Still young, 26 years old. He's going to be a free agent in 2030, so we've got some years of control as well. Maybe he's not the perfect trade candidate for the Mariners, honestly, but he's a good player. Hasn't fully emerged yet, but this past season was definitely a big step forward for Baty. 432 plate appearances this past season, 18 home runs, same amount of home runs as Bo Bichette this past season. Kind of interesting. He had 8 stolen bases. Bichette only had 4. I'm making notes. A 7.6 walk percentage, a 25K percentage, so that's a little high, Little worrisome for a young guy, but we'll see what happens. He's got good enough power, I would say. The batted ball metrics look good, and I'll get to those in a second. Only a 181 isolated power, which is not amazing, but it's still, I would say, above average, which is nice. He hit 254. I'm sorry for these yawns. It's really annoying me. 254 batting average, 313 on base, and a 435 slugging percentage. 328 WOBA, I should say, a 335 expected WOBA, and a 111 runs created plus 2.3 F WAR on the season. F WAR standing for Fangraphs version of WAR. That's what I follow personally. That's what I go with. If you go with B WAR for baseball reference, let me know why in the comments. I'd love to hear your reasoning. 2.3 F4 though I mean, it's decent, and especially for how young he is and for the mass improvements we have seen at the major league level this past season, makes me kind of interested to see if this is the floor and if we can move from here. Now, this could be the ceiling. We don't know, but he's shown throughout his minor league career that he's been very effective. Now, they gave him multiple tries in the major leagues, and it was starting to look like Baty was going to be just kind of forgotten and a nothing player, basically. But like I said, this past season was a step up for him. While it was only a 111 runs created plus, the batted ball metrics do speak to some decent power. A 90.7 exit velocity, which is above average, 64th percentile. The barrel percentage, though, is fantastic. 12.8 barrel percentage, that is 80th percentile. That's fantastic. Great job. 46.9 hard hit percentage is 72nd percentile. That's great. More than above average. He crushes fastballs. He had a 368 WOBA and a 386 expected WOBA and a 93.5 exit velocity against fastballs this past season. Fantastic. Now, the problem here is that he does not hit well versus breaking pitches or with off speed pitches. It's a 276 WOBA against breaking pitches, and then 254 WOBA versus off speed pitches. Not great, and we're gonna need some adjustments there, especially in this young kid's career. But he's got no position right now. They've said he's going to be a utility guy. I think that's a terrible idea. I think the Mets should sell high. They should go get someone, or sorry, sell high. I think he is a decent player, and I don't think they would be selling high personally. I think he can kind of move up from here, like I said. But for them, I think they should sell him because they don't have a position for him. I know depth is nice, but honestly, you still have Mark Vientos who could still play third base if you want. So you trade one of them, trade one of the two. And maybe Vientos makes a little bit more sense. Once again, I'll probably cover him tomorrow. Another great reason for you to subscribe to the channel. But Baty's a good player. He's young and he could get you a little something, something. And I think the Mariners got a little something, something. Listen, we've got a freaking dope farm system that we're just sitting on right now. That's what we're doing. We're just sitting on our farm system, one of the best in the league and one of the best in Major League Baseball. We're just sitting on it and we're not using it to better our team right now. And it's a little frustrating. I know Brendan Donovan is still out there. We've lost out on multiple options. Jorge Polanco was one. Brandon Lau was another. We're losing out on options. Willie Castro was another. He was kind of a depth option that I thought would be good for the utility spot. We're missing options right now for our infield. We're losing options. Donovan is still out there. Baty is obviously still available. Now, obviously, Bo Bichette did not go to the Phillies, so Bryson Stott or Alec Bohm are no longer options, in my opinion. I don't see the Phillies going to get another top infield option. So I think Baty's as good of an option as any. Yes, he's got a lot of control, so it probably makes it a lot more unlikely that he's dealt, but it's an option. I think he's an interesting player. I would love to see him on the Mariners. I definitely think he's an upgrade over Ben Williamson. I know Ben Williamson's defense is great and is much better than Baty's. Baty had overall slightly below average defense. It was a -1 overall fielding run value, which is Baseball Savant's defensive metric, which I think is the best in baseball personally. 48th percentile. in fielding run value. He was good range wise, catching wise, outs above average. He's a +1. That's a 70th percentile. He played split between third base and second base, a little bit more third base than third. Sorry, a little bit more third than second. But yeah, it still decent. The arm strength didn't look very good though. I mean, it's 28th percentile, which maybe that's because he played at second and he's not doesn't have to throw it as hard. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes if you look at a player that plays second base, his arm strength is really low, and then he switches over to like shortstop or second, and all of a sudden his arm strength is great, and it's just because of how they calculate it. He doesn't have enough. He's not doesn't have to put it a lot on it to for an average throw from second base. So I think that kind of hurts the arm strength stat in a way. Once again, defensive metrics are such a step behind offensive metrics. Long story short, Ben Williamson's great defensively at third base. Baty's not amazing, but he's definitely a bat upgrade in my opinion. And I think he's already a better hitter than Williamson will probably be. That's just my opinion on Williamson. I don't think he is a starter on a contending team. I don't think he is. And I don't think Colt Emerson is ready to go at third base yet. So that's where I stand on that situation. I want somebody else to be able to play third base. And I'm not saying if Williamson starts hitting well that we're not going to give him playing time. Like, of course, of course, I'm totally down. But yeah, I think we need to get another option, somebody else that's a little bit safer. And I think we deserve that as the Mariners for being so close to the freaking World Series and also having one of the best farm systems in baseball. Not every prospect is going to turn out great. We've got a couple guys that are a decent amount away, a decent time away. Freaking Ryan Sloan is a good, decent amount away. Kate Anderson's obviously closer. Got a couple outfielders, but you can't keep everyone. I mean, listen, man, I'm just saying. I'm okay to trade some prospects here. I'm okay to get something done. That's my opinion, though. I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think about Brett Baty? He's the guy that we should go for. He's got a little more control than Brendan Donovan, but he's a little bit less secure than Donovan is. Maybe we go for Donovan instead. I don't know. I'd be okay with either one. I think I would rather Donovan at this point, but I guess it depends on who costs more. And Baty's just a little bit more of a power guy. Like I said, the batted ball metrics look great in that respect, but I'm a little worried about that K percentage, a little bit worried about his performance versus breaking and off speed pitches. Because if he's not making contact, then the power can't do anything. So maybe you go with Brendan Donovan because he's a safer option. He's the contact guy. I don't know. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts about it. J Rod, with all this talk about contracts, I wanted to revisit J Rod's extension that we gave him because it's kind of really interesting to me. It guaranteed him over $200 million, but in such a weird way. And I kind of wanted to go through the options here as we get closer and closer to a key decision that needs to be made on the Mariners' part. Yes, he could theoretically make $470 million over 17 years, which is insane. Would be insane and very unlikely, but he could still make a whole lot more money. And rightfully so, because freaking J-Rod, baby. All right. This is all about a club option that the Seattle Mariners have after the 2028 season. So we've got 3 more years to go. He's going to make at least $119 million through the first portion of this deal. Then after the 2028 season, they've got a decision. They've got an option. Now, this option is going to be 8 years, most likely, or 10 years. Now, here we go. Let me break down the details here for you because I know you guys know it, but this is a reminder here, okay? The potential values and lengths for the club option depend on his American League MVP voting between the years of when he signed the deal to 2028. So 2022 to 2028. 6 seasons they give this guy. 6 seasons they give him. So our first option, our first possible club option, 8 years, $200 million. And this is if he receives no top 10 MVP votes during this specified period of 2022 versus between 2022 and 2028. 6 years. Then the Mariners could The option is only 8 years, 200 million, which is still a lot of money and would still be great for a guy like him. Now, that is not possible because he has already crossed that threshold. He has received more than 0 top 10 MVP votes. Rightfully so. He's a stud. 8 years, $240 million is the next one. This is if he records 2 or 3 top 10 MVP finishes without winning an MVP. Now, that is where we are currently at. Rodriguez currently has 3 top 10 finishes. Now, the next one is 8 years, $260 million. And this is if he records 4 top 10 MVP finishes without winning the MVP. I think this one might be the most likely, possibly. I think this is the most. No. It might be the most likely. It's probably the safest option, honestly, because he already has 3. So all he needs is 1 more without winning the MVP. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen. So we'll see. 8 years, 260 million. That's possible. 8 years, $280 million. This is if he wins one MVP award and places in the top 5 one other time. Or, this is the key, or finishes in the top 5 3 times without winning the MVP. My gosh, it gets so complicated. Now, he has been in the top 5 for MVP voting in this time period. He's been in the top 5 once. So he would need 2 more times without winning, or he needs an MVP to get this. So if he wins the MVP, then he unlocks this 280 million possibility. Or if he finishes the next 2, at least 2 out of the next 3 seasons with a top 5 finish, which is tough to do, honestly. It's probably easier to just click it for 1 year, you know, get a Cal Raleigh type situation, but also at the same time, you got Aaron Judge that is difficult to get past. But I think the 8 years, 260 is probably the most likely out of these options, but everybody's saying he's gonna win it this year. Everybody's betting it right now. I keep seeing it. J Rod for MVP, J Rod for MVP. That's what MLB.com predicted. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. Easily could happen. He's got the skills for it, obviously, because we built in a contract based on MVP voting. We knew he was gonna be this good. 8 years, 280 million is the option here. That's crazy. And then the final one, which is unlikely, but this could be insane. 10 years, $350 million on top of the already $120 million he would have made at this point over the first 7 years of the deal, would stretch it to $470 million. And that is if he wins 2 MVP awards or finishes among the top 5 in balloting on 4 occasions. So he would need to be in the top 5 in the next 3 seasons or win 2 MVP awards. So pretty freaking difficult. He'd have to unlock a new gauge. He'd have to unlock a new level here. Or Judge would need to die for that to happen. And I'm not wishing for that to happen, obviously. But I just thought it was interesting to break down this contract, especially in a time where everybody's taking these short little 3-year deals. And obviously Tucker's making a boatload of money. Obviously Bichette is making way more money per year than he would make in a long-term deal. But gosh dang it, I'm so happy we got J-Rod. I'm so happy he's not hitting free agency right now. Oh my gosh, we got him locked down. Now, here's the other option. If they decline this club option, which obviously I'm praying that doesn't happen. J-Rod has a player option for I think it's 5 years, 90 million. I think that's what it is. I think it's 5 years, 90 million. So still a decent chunk of change, man. Like still decent. And we still get him for another 5 years. So listen, he's locked in. I love it. No trade clause, the whole bit. So J-Rod's with us, man. He's with us, and I gotta get a jersey, honestly. Gotta get a jersey. All right. MLB news. Let's close off this episode here. The catcher market is moving, and my first thought is it would be nice if we still had Harry Ford and we could still trade him because I bet you we could get quite a few teams getting ready to pony up because Red Sox still need a catcher. a lot of teams still need a catcher. And I think Harry Ford would be pretty coveted right about now. Now, listen, I'm not mad about the deal. I like Jose Ferrer. I like him. I like him more than probably the average Mariners fan does, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a little bidding war, possibly. Have the Red Sox in there with the Nationals trying to get it done for Mr. Ford here. But either way, the catcher market is moving. The Phillies pivoted from Bo Bichette. They were, like I said, offered 7 years, $200 million. He denies it, so they pivot and they re-sign their guy in JT Realmuto. 3 years, $45 million for the 34-year-old. I mean, he's going to be 34, but even so, my gosh, pretty impressive for JT to get this amount of money. Now, he was the best catcher on the free agent market. It was a very thin market, but yeah, hats off to, I think it's Scott Boras his client, his agent. Now, he had an okay season. It's not a terrible season by any means. 550 plate appearances, 12 homers, 8 stolen bases. I mean, he's definitely taken a step back from his heyday. He's not a stud anymore, but still the best catcher on the free agent market, so that's something. 257 batting average, a 315 on base, and a 384 slugging percentage. 94 runs created plus, 2.1 F4 on the season. He does rank pretty terribly in framing, which I think is the most important catcher stat that we have right now. It was a -8 framing, which is seventh percentile. He is amazing with the caught stealing though. A +6 in caught stealing above average on Baseball Savant, which is 95th percentile. So great with the stolen bases, but can't frame to save his life, which is not great. Another catcher got signed as well. The Twins signed Victor Caratini, 2 years, $14 million. A team that I was not expecting to be in on the catcher market right now. They have Ryan Jeffers right now, who's decent behind the dish, and they go and sign Carantini, who is probably the second best catcher on the market. So kind of interesting. The Red Sox are kind of left with nothing right now. I think another team in the Astros were looking for a catcher as well. Kind of interesting. This catcher market's moving, and it would be nice. It'd be nice to have Harry Ford to dangle, maybe. But whatever. We got the guy that we wanted, so guess we move on. And then one final signing, Jacob Junis, who I thought could be really interesting for the Mariners. 1 year, $4 million with the Rangers. I was like, what? A 1 year, $4 million for Jacob Junis? Like, I know, listen, I might be overrating him a little bit. He's a fun pitcher because he doesn't have a great, fastball sinker situation. So he has to really rely on the slider and the changeup, which just kind of makes it interesting. But then he's effective, 66 and 2/3 innings pitched this past season with the Guardians, 20.1 K percentage, which is not amazing, but decent. He doesn't walk too many guys, 6.6 walk percentage, and then a 2.97 ERA and a 3.45 FIP. He's a decent pitcher that can do a little long relief. He can do some stuff. And only 1 year, $4 million. Oh my gosh, I should have been right up the Mariners' path, and it would have been great. Would have been nice and cheap for us, and but no. Signs with the division rival Texas Rangers, who probably aren't going to do anything this year anyways. So Junis should have signed with us. Ah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, he's a nice reliever, and I would have liked him. He's got a nice slider. He gets stuff done, and yeah, it would have been nice. Would have been nice. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me on this show. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I had some snow here, so make sure you stay safe on the roads, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Have a good one.